I am the managing partner of Nova Business Law Group. I'm not going to read that off. Everyone can read it themselves. We are a regional firm that started off regional but is now a national firm. We represent all sorts of companies in the financial tech industry, in the government contractor industry, in the healthcare industry, and we support them from a corporate governing law and corporate governance structure. We also represent some nonprofits, and my journey really started to become a lawyer when I was 13 years old, and it was civil rights law. And myself and my partner, Sam Garbia, who I'll introduce shortly, we were talking about this, and someone asked me the question, with everything going on in Palestine right now, with everything going on with the students and the protests at the universities, don't you want to get back into civil rights, or don't you want to go back to your roots? And the simple answer is, I think the benefit that I'm providing and the benefit that we as a firm are providing to the community at large to do business in the right and ethical way, to set up your business in a way that when you're a founder, and you heard two founders up here earlier, in Shayan and Harun, is that what you don't hear a lot of times is the struggles that founders go through, that founders go through, and the mistakes that they make along the way because they were taken advantage of. And those are the legal essentials that we plan to talk about today. And Sam and Brandon, one of my colleagues, will be discussing a little further as we continue tonight. What Musiad's intent might not have been is what makes this country in America great. And we call it the melting pot here, right? We had a Afghani and a Turkish brother up here who, quote unquote, made it. Right, he exited from a company, he reached that. We have Shayan's story, he made it, right? But what America does is it takes from different cultures, right? My parents are Indian American, and I know India isn't the most popular country in Turkey, so I'll say my wife is Pakistani. And I know a sister country, everyone in Turkey loves Pakistan, right? But that's what America does, is it takes the traditions of different countries and brings them into here. And that's what the Turkish business community can bring to America, right? Is your rich history of doing business from the Uthmanis, from the Ottomans until today, right? You can bring us and teach us. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we continue the night of my own and our own practice at the firm, what we've learned from our Turkish clients and how we've applied that into governance in American companies and in the regular countries here in the U.S. today. When you have a product and a service that's in demand, you want to spread it. And coming to America, and we heard from the president of Turkey's the Economic Council, the counselor that came up here and spoke, really talked about the benefit of exporting what Turkey has into the United States. So, similar to in Turkey, in America, we have rules and regulations and laws that you have to follow and that you have to practice in order to start a company here, to start either a branch here or to start its own company here. And we're going to get into that a little bit, and our moderator will kind of walk us through that area. So similar to in Turkey, we have laws and regulations, as I mentioned, that you must follow to set up a company. And our job as lawyers is to help you navigate through those hurdles, right? It's not easy. Harun can tell you, Shayan can tell you, as founders, that's the last thing they want to think about, right? They have a product, they have a service, and as a business person, you have a product and service that you're good at and what you want to do. And we want to make sure that when you bring us on, we're guiding you through the various different the hurdles that you have to jump over, right, in America to get your business started and to make sure it's successful and to make sure you're following the laws of the federal, of the state, and of the local entity, of the local areas where you will be establishing your country. And then you have the governance documents really talk about, right, the operating agreement, the bylaws, which help you start your company, right? When you have a partner, it really gets into that. And this is where I want to talk about that melting pot, right? We had, when you have a disagreement with two partners and two partners are running a business, what happens, right? In America, is one partner says, I want to leave. And they'll do an evaluation, they'll do an evaluation of the company, or one of the partners will say, you have to buy me out for this much. But the Turkish model, from my understanding, is if myself and Sam are dissolving, I have to go and think of a fair number, and I'll say to Sam, Sam, you have to buy me out. If you don't buy me out at this price, then I'm going to buy you out at that price. We've taken that model and we've put that into all of our bylaws and operating agreements because it's a beautiful model, because it's the fair thing to do, right? And this is where in America, when you bring your businesses here, we can learn from you. We can learn from and better our business and how we do things in America. And obviously there are different areas that we will also touch point on today, whether it's the tax areas, the cross-border tax benefits, which we have an economist. I'm married to an economist, so I know I'm going to try and project what questions you're going to ask me. But it's also the immigration that a lot of people have questions about. None of us here practice immigration law, but we have a corporate immigration attorney at our firm that we can assist with that. But before I do that, I want to talk about my partner here, Sam Garbia. Sam Garbia started the firm back in 2003. He is a graduate from a local university here, George Mason University and George Mason Law School. He then went on to work at a big law firm, established his firm. I joined the firm in 2009. In 2014, the firm went more regional and started doing things not just in Virginia, but in Virginia, Maryland, and DC. And then we've grown since. Next to him, we have Brandon Oakes. Brandon is a counsel with our firm, the highest level of an attorney at our firm, and he does specifically startups and corporate transactional practice. And we're enjoying, we're very honored to be here today before the Turkish community, before the Turkish Business Council, before you Turkish leaders and Musiad to present and answer any questions that might come to us. Please make them easy questions so that we'll be able to answer them and, of course, make us look good. I'm going to go and sit down and we'll proceed to the next part of the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the great introduction and for introducing our other panelists. So to frame the discussion, you know that we have trade volume target between Turkey and the United States. So we want to reach $100 billion trade volume in the coming years. Right now, our exports reached higher than 25 billion, and same with imports. We are getting there. So I looked at the numbers before coming here. It's looking at 2023 numbers. We are still exporting and importing from Turkey traditional export products, which is great. The volume doubled on these traditional products in the past 10 years. But there are also opportunities to diversify. I'm sure Toba and Chan representatives will tell you because they did this great sectoral analysis. So in goods sectors and the services sectors, there are untapped potentials between Turkey and the United States. And now, going towards 2030, artificial intelligence is becoming more important, and economic opportunities in the new sectors will be important. So I would like to also listen where we can diversify this trade volume, and what do you think from your side as trade leaders. So let us open this for discussion, but before, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. First I learned two very important things today. One is that there's an application out there that can check how many gym memberships I'm paying for. As you can tell, they're multiple with all my workout that I do. But seriously, I think I pay for 3 Netflix accounts, so I don't appreciate that. The second thing is, as the son of a Palestinian immigrant, hearing people talk about Gaza in a business forum is hello? I'm sorry, what I didn't learn is how to turn it on, so I'll start over. I'll leave the joke aside, but what one of the most important things I'm hearing today, really, as the son of a Palestinian immigrant, is talking about Gaza and business leaders, talking about how we help and how we use our economic success to help those in need. I think that's been a big change in the Muslim community in the last 10 to 15 years. When I started my firm, it was a very difficult process to get Muslim leaders and Muslim businessmen to think from a Muslim perspective. Everyone was just trying to figure out their way through the economy and capitalism here in the United States. And to know that we have this type of friendship and this type of global impact, I think is very important. One thing we don't, it's great stories to hear Cheyenne and Harun talk about their successes. But the reality is, before they got there, there are a lot of legal issues that probably had to take place, from protection, from regulation, from government interference, from intellectual property, immigration. All those things are legal structure. And based on a lot of the work I did early on, especially in the Arab community, we didn't always fall back on legal structure. We did a lot of handshake deals, a lot of cousin and brother type of deals, and seeing the community mature and really think about legal consequences, think about regulation, think about contracts, really goes back to the religion. Our religion encourages that. Actually, it's a requirement, and to do that is really a cornerstone to the success of your business, is understanding the legal impact of you coming to the United States or doing work in Turkey, that you're following the rules and regulations of the country that you're in, and that you're writing it down, right? So that we understand the rules and regulations of your partners, of the people you do business with. It goes back to what our esteemed president had said in his speech, that in Islam, justice and fairness is a major part of the religion, and putting those things right up front and in writing is a major part of our legal process. So again, I appreciate being up here. I thank you all for the invitation. I'm honored. I hope I can answer your questions. And if I can't, I'll just point at Brandon. I think he should be able to do it if I can't. So happy to be here, and thank you, Moderator, for introducing us.
Thank you. Before we open up for discussion, let us hear from our third panelist. If you want to say a few words before we start.
Turned it on.
Say, you turned on the microphone for me, so I appreciate that. I just say it's wonderful working with these gentlemen. We have a fantastic firm that truly is national in reach, clients across the country, and really glad to be here at this panel today.
So for those business leaders who want to do business in the US, this is very important legal and regulatory framework, and we have a great panel today. So without further ado, I want to open this for a dialogue. It doesn't have to be questions, but we can do an interactive dialogue with our panelists. So you can ask your questions if you want to open a business, or if you want to do joint ventures, or if you would like to partner with American investors to do business in Turkey. Who would like to start first? Please go ahead.
There we go. Every company I started, obviously you know, law firm helps you just get the origination going, decide whether you're going to be a C corp or LLC, those things. When you're starting a company, especially when you have basically no resources. And so every time we did it, we went to usually really outward. We did all that work for free. And then after that, we ended up just sticking with them, and we gave them all their work. We ended up making $1 on them. Because all the way through the deal, then they were helping with that. So will your team commit to, for new startups who are just starting out, do their registration and setting them up for free?
Let me get 2 more questions before you start answering. Okay, second question or comment.
Hello. What is a trust? I don't have trust in So when I check, they're usually talking about the trust, but I don't understand.
Thank you. One more for this round.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Maksud Chaudhary. My question, if I want to start a non-profit organization which is on the international level, does your company facilitate that one? This is for the purpose of charity and community service.
Thank you. Let's start answering these questions so then we can open it for other questions.
So I'll start with Harun's question. So one of the advantages of a smaller law firm that is experienced with startups and local small businesses, a lot of our clients start small. We've had the pleasure of exiting clients from $60 million to $400 million and remember them when they were in our office asking the same question Harun did, will you do it for free? So that our goal as a law firm, and I think any successful business, is really to plant the seed and make it easy for entrepreneurs and startups to grow. And if we become cost prohibitive and we become difficult, then the next step that you guys do is you'll stop going to lawyers. And when you stop going to lawyers, you're creating an environment that you will eventually see a lawyer and it will cost you a lot more because now you're undoing all the deals you did without a lawyer having helped you out. So to answer that question, the answer is yes, we're very nimble on our fees. We understand the startup process. We also bet with our clients that they're going to be successful, and we want to be part of that and part of their growth from the beginning. So, we look forward to helping anybody get started up. A lot of the formation documents and a lot of the documents you get just to get started are things that are pretty easy. They're automated. You can do them online. And of course, we assist in all those things. So that's no issue. I think we take our job more seriously as counselors than we do as just lawyers. There's a lot that goes on with your business where you will need counseling, strategy. You will need to understand and go through the terrain of starting a business, failing a business, and raising money, exiting, and trying to protect yourself personally throughout that process. Did I answer that question? I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'll do it for free, but close enough, right?
So we do have the deferred model. So we do the deferred comp on it, and then. So we do have various different models for startups. So we do have the deferred model, deferred compensation, where we'll take equity later on if there's an exit, or we'll just delay the payments until a time when they can make money, right? When they raise their first X number of dollars, or they reach a certain number in profits, then they'll pay us for that. But 10 years ago, as a firm, we couldn't do that, right? Because we were 3-4 attorneys and we just didn't have the capability to do that. And really, I look at these larger firms that have the Y Combinator docs, the Cooley docs, right? We talk to startups, we talk to founders all the time and take them there, right? And then we say, look, when you're bringing someone else, if it's just you, you're fine. But once you start bringing investors, once you start bringing others into the equation, once money starts being transferred and you're receiving it, write it down, right? And again, like as Sam said, we get that from the faith. So we do have models that work with startups, but again, we're picky. We make sure that we're looking for clients that they understand that we're riding with them, and that even if we do have lower fees, that they understand they're not paying the $700,000, $800,000, $1,500 an hour. They're paying a lower amount, and then we'll grow with them as they grow as well.
Sorry, and I'll add one more thing. In working with Oasis, actually, as part of our partnership with them, and I'm on the board of that, we do consult with new businesses all the time as part of our process. So anytime there's a question that has to be asked, it doesn't have to be a time-based or a money-based question answer. It is, again, something we do just on a consulting basis to help people get off the ground and help them start. It's a give back to the business community that we take seriously. And I'll attempt to answer the second question. I'm not sure, was the question related to trusts as in trusts and estates?
Yeah, or I think what a trust is, revocable versus revocable.
Okay, you want to take that?
Well, do you want to back up and talk about the different types of corporate entities that we have in America?
Okay, and you include, yeah. So and I think the trust question is actually related to how you own or hold a company. There are different ways you can do it. In the United States, we have LLCs. You'll hear that a lot. You have partnerships. You have C corporations, which I don't want to get into too deep of a legal session here. And you have S corporations. So you can own as a corporation, as an LLC, as a partnership, as a trust. A lot of these vehicles are really designed to shield from personal liability. When you're an entrepreneur, you want to take risks, but you don't want to necessarily risk your personal financial situation or your home or whatever you may own internationally. So a lot of these legal structures are to make sure that you're protected from a personal perspective, and that anything you do is related to the company itself.
And on the question of a trust, it's a special vehicle that's been created to allow for my next generation, my heirs, those who come after me, to not get taxed, right? And so there's a certain number of dollars that I am in America allowed to gift, to give donation, and to pass along to my children before it becomes taxed. When I do that, when I put everything I own in a trust, right? And there's two different types of trust. There's a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust. Now I can set it up in a way where the inheritance to my kids, what I leave behind me, my estate, goes to my children or whoever I put in there without them being taxed. And then there's a step-up basis, and it starts getting complicated. So that's basically what a trust is a way to avoid taxes here in America. And the third question was 501c3. So we, to Dr. Chaudhry, to answer your question, we do set up 501c3s. We have some clients in the room here. But on the international side, yes, we can assist with that. And we have assisted with organizations that are based out of the U.S. and have branches or chapters in various different countries, and that their main mission is to assist in that country, wherever that country is in the United States.
Thank you. This is great and very valuable information. So if you're interested in investing in the US, I would highly encourage you to speak with our lawyers. And I'll have the opportunity, if you like, to talk about a bit global economics. So usually this is one of the questions people ask with the US elections coming up. And we see that maybe some countries will be favoring protectionism, or is it becoming more difficult for countries to enter the US market? So I would like to ask your perspectives. What do you think? Where are we going? What is yet to come in the global economy and related issues to opening a business or closing a business here? And do you see it will be more difficult in coming years? Do you see protectionism probably will have an impact on business? Also, I'd like to mention that the international organizations at the World Bank, we provide a lot of support to new sectors. So at the World Bank, we have a $3 billion envelope annually for Turkey, and most of this money will go to climate-friendly investments. So I would also encourage our business people who are interested in investing, so they will be, it will be more favorable if you want to start a new project, which also has benefits for environment. Those will be our top priority. Okay, let me continue to discuss what do you see with the new elections coming up. Then I'll go for second round of questions.
Yeah, great. I mean, with every election, there are regulations that are changed depending on which party's in control. I won't just say the White House, but just the Senate and the House. Generally, that does affect tax advantages. That does affect capital gains tax, which is when you exit, what type of tax you pay, and then what regulatory issues that you have to resolve sometimes is affected by the elections. But I'll say this, from a business perspective, I think the United States always is looking for an advantage to maintain its businesses from small to mid-size, encourage investment. From our experience, is one of the best countries to raise capital. I think the vehicles for that are made to encourage it, and I haven't seen, regardless of the administration, I rarely see that changing. It is the bloodline of the economics here is investment, small business, growth, and the transactional economy.
I'm going to push back a little bit on that. This is why we're good partners. So I think it really depends on, especially in this next administration, who's going to come there. I mean, I know we know that under the first Trump presidency, there was America First, right? And he put a lot of roadblocks up for foreign investors to come in and put money into it. However, I think that this time around, it won't be as bad as it was before. And like Sam mentioned, those doors are always open, right? There's always a way to figure out how to invest in this country, right? He might make it a little bit more difficult for that to happen. The administration might, and those who are looking, again, to put America first in manufacturing, right? We're talking about, there's a lot of manufacturers, there's a lot of textiles, there's a lot of construction folks here with the marble, the granite that you import, cabinets that you import, furniture that gets imported from Turkey, right? Your natural resources there we don't necessarily have here. We don't have the same type of product that you do. And that might make it a little bit more difficult. But if you're typically, the way it works is once you're in and a law is changed, then you're grandfathered into it. So in other words, the sooner you do it, the better. Under a Democratic presidency, Democratic Party presidency, it is a lot more. The doors are more open. We know what's happened to the Turkish-American alliance that's there right now. I think I was reading $200 billion some dollars have flown through between the countries, and I think that will continue. And so I think from a business community perspective, the doors are always there just to figure out how to do it. All right, some presidents might make it more, some administrations might make it more difficult, but at the end of the day, there is a way to do it, and we'll help you hopefully figure that out. Brandon, I don't know if you want to add anything. No? Okay.
Thank you for this. My Harvard professor used to say, never let a crisis go to waste. So we should be optimistic. And I will take one more question because Berker is telling me to finish this panel. So one more question. Okay, two. Gentleman in blue.
Yes, I would like to ask a question about real estate investment and about immigration investment. You know, in previous panels, lawyers recommended making investment in America by establishing a company. Is this way labeled or bankrupt or a loss of companies is a serious danger for investment? Do you recommend that investment be made as a real person or a legal entity?
Thank you. Last question, gentleman in white. Yes.
My question is, as a Muslim founder of legal firm specializing in business law and consulting in the USA, how do you assist startups in securing funding or finding partners while ensuring compliance with the prohibition of interest? Because as a Muslim business person, interest is a huge challenge in the US. How do, as a consultant and legal firm, how you can help with that to start up, get fund or find partners which interest is not involved in that?
So the first question, if I understood correctly, is about how do you invest in a U.S. entity? I'll take it from a foreign national's perspective. There are certain restrictions as a foreign individual to invest. There are certain companies that can't accept it depending on the way they're formed, but generally that's not a hurdle that should stop you. There are also investment vehicles that, from the immigration perspective, EB-5, right? Is it EB-5? Yeah, like an EB-5 visa that allows for you to invest and eventually get a green card into the United States based on your investment. So those are legal. Those are approved by the USCIS, which is responsible for the immigration laws and regulations. So there's really no hurdle from being an international or a foreign national to invest. But you do, like anything else in any country, you do have to be careful and do your due diligence. A lot of people take advantage of foreign money, just trying to get it, and really with no products or services that are of value. So we always recommend due diligence of the company itself specifically, and make sure the valuation is correct. Did I answer the question? Great, excellent. Second question, I think, and I'll start and then you can jump in. I think Harun spoke about this, and again, it's something that really gets me excited and makes me proud as a Muslim American. There are a lot of avenues for Muslim investment that don't necessarily deal in interest, that have investment vehicles that are take the halal, and I would even say the tayyib approach in their investment vehicles, and they have capital that's available. So there are, as a firm, we're well connected in that community. There are also people like Oasis or some other groups that do incubators that help startups that have investment funds ready to go, maybe on a smaller scale, but they're available to help innovators, the young entrepreneurs, the thought leaders, and they do it in halal means. So we have a lot of avenues and ability to get you with the right people who will have like-minded investment strategies.
Round of applause for our great panel. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for participating. Çok teşekkür ederiz.